We are now less than 4 hours away from the 95-7 The Game fantasy football draft. And we have this update. Into the fourth round we go. And with the fourth pick, in the 95-7 The Game fantasy football draft, Mark Willard selects Marcus Mariota, quarterback, Philadelphia Eagles.
Great pick.
Thank you very, very much.
Don't encourage this bit.
And so I do believe that this just in, Howard Eskin has asked if I can come on his show tomorrow because he knows I'm coming for you, Sirianni. I'm coming down your road, and I'm not giving you a pass. If Jalen fits his last name and he gets Hurts this year,
that's a 2.
there better not be a drop-off. Oh, you hand-selected, beautiful free agent, you, Marcus Mariota. There better not be a drop-off. An experienced guy who has started games in this league. Oh, he's been around the block. And Nick Sirianni better not let his Eagles drip-drop even a tiny little bit.
You finally got one right. For God's sakes, it took you this long because you know what? They better not drip drop at all with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. He's a veteran quarterback, a guy who started in this league.
He ain't Jalen
Hurts.
Hurts.
He's a capable quarterback in this league. Well, Sam Darnold ain't Brock Purdy. The way you build up Brock Purdy like he's Joe Montana.
He's never done what Brock's done in this league.
By the way, Joe Montana tomorrow, 8 a.m. right here on 95.7 The Game. I look forward to hearing Joe Montana, but
hold on. Did everybody hear that? Did everybody hear that?
Joe Montana, tomorrow, 8 a.m., only here on 95.7 The Game.
Good job. All right. I want to make sure everybody heard that.
No, I'm glad.
All right.
I'm glad because...
Go ahead. You really think that the Eagles should look the same with Marcus Mariota and Jalen Hurts?
They shouldn't have a drop-off?
Why the hell would anybody pay these quarterbacks $50 million a year if you think there are these Netflix B-level celebrities cruising around who can come in as the backup and not have a drop-off?
Because you bring in a good team brings in a good backup thinking that if our QB goes down, QB1, our season doesn't end. It's not a catastrophe.
No, that's different. That's different. Not a catastrophe is different than not a drop-off. Like, absolutely, of course there's a drop-off. Unequivocally.
There's a drop, but there's not a drop-off.
Yes,
I'm going to semantics you, and you semanticsed me earlier when I talked about anointed. There's a difference between a drop and a drop-off. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Finding Nemo, but the drop-off.
I have kids,
man. The drop-off.
Many times.
You know, the big part of the Marianas Trench, that's a drop-off.
Dory's memory is just adorable, isn't it?
Dude, R.I.P. Dory.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, she and I have a lot in common as I get older. I tend to forget things. I left the house today and couldn't remember the errand I had to run.
There's
a drop, and then there's a drop-off. There are two different things,
I feel like you're moving the goalposts.
I feel like you're trying to hit me with semantics, and I'm hitting you back with semantics.
No, it's not semantics at all. There was a very clear, you stop me if I'm wrong. I won't be sarcastic at all. The three of you on the crossover today, your point was, if Brock Purdy misses time, and if Sam comes in, that absolutely does not mean that we change our expectations for the season at all. And Kyle is at fault if the 49ers do not make it to the Final Four, whether he's got Brock or not. That's crazy. That's like legitimately, in my opinion, is nuts to think that the expectation should flatline if you go from QB1 to QB2. It doesn't mean that the season's over. It doesn't mean that they can't still achieve that or win some games. But to think that the 49ers are just flatly the same with QB1 and QB2, I don't get it. I don't get it. That's what I'm saying. Am I mischaracterizing your point?
You asked me to stop you if you said something that was incorrect.
And I didn't.
Did I stop you?
You didn't.
Did I stop you?
So it was a good characterization sensation then.
That's a buck, and I'll pay it.
Okay.
Because if you were putting words in my mouth, which is something that you certainly...
We don't like.
No, it triggers you.
No one does. No, it triggers you too. It should.
It definitely triggers me. Are you telling me it triggers me? Because you're putting words in my mouth right now. Which, in essence, if I say that triggers me...
Well, I'm putting pizza in your mouth is what my girl did yesterday.
Yeah, shout out the lovely Christy. who, I mean,
she's gotten enough airtime today.
I don't think
How
so.
lovely.
And I texted her offline. I think
that'd be about enough of that.
I'm sorry. It's slid into her DMs.
Yeah, slide into her DMs. It's much better.
Dude, thank you for the hot pizza. I don't even have her number. But I think that is, and I know I'm in the minority when it comes to going from QB1 to QB2, but I will refer you to such seasons as last year, where they went from QB1, who Kyle Shanahan, and I know we're going to hear from him in a minute, but Kyle said and stuff that, we gave him the job and stuff, and we were all excited to give Trey the job and stuff, and Trey got hurt, and they went to QB2, and they won games, and they went to QB3, and they won games. But there was no drop off, Mark.
Dibs.
Mark.
That's the past.
That's the point.
My question is, now that happened once, you've decided that that's the way it works all the time?
It should, when your roster this year is even better than it was last year.
I mean, first of all, the backup the first time, you understand circumstance. You're a smart person.
That's nice.
To say that Jimmy Garoppolo in that situation on this team is just like any other QB2, I know you're not saying that because that would be disingenuous.
Sam Darnold right now is not as good for this team as Jimmy Garoppolo was in week 3 last year. Even though Jimmy wandered out of the back of the end zone and cost you a game. See ya.
Right. So
chances to win?
So we all agree on that. And then to me, the next part of the point is, well, it turns out Brock Purdy's pretty special. I don't know if he's
special.
Considering his draft position, yes.
No, we're not doing that.
No.
We're not doing draft position anymore. No. We agreed.
Hold on, but we're in the past right now. We're last year, so yes, we are. Brock Purdy walked onto a field as Mr. Irrelevant.
We're not doing this.
And he did a bunch of stuff that we didn't expect him to do, correct?
It was pretty cool.
Okay, so now that he's done that, it feels to me like some of you are saying today, well, that's the deal. That's how it works, Kyle. You got a QB2? Nope, no drop. QB3, sorry, no drop. Because you're Kyle Shanahan, and you told us that this guy's amazeballs, and you are a genius, and you have good players around him. So that's the deal. You can play with any quarterback.
Well, from the past to the present, and your backup now, to use your draft position comp, this guy is a former number 3 overall pick.
Not a comp.
No, it's a total comp.
No, it's not.
Because you're saying that Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant.
Right.
Well, this guy's the sauce at a USC fight on.
But he's not, and that's been proven. The point
is been proven on crappy teams.
The point about Brock Purdy in the past, not now, not relevant now, is that it feels to me like his success last year has made many of you decide that that's now the rule. That's the expectation.
It's not the rule, but it's the expectation. It's the expectation.
Wow.
It's because...
And that's where we can...
Does Brock Purdy do what he did on any other team in the NFL? You could probably pick maybe 2 or 3 other teams.
I would guess.
If he comes in week 11 for the Arizona Cardinals, does he do what he did here?
No, but there's 2 responses to that.
No, that's not a no, but it's a no.
No, it's a definite no.
No from
well, first of all, to all the Trey Lance apologists out there, actually, the answer is don't know. Haven't seen it.
No, we're not talking Trey Lance. We're talking Brock Purdy.
I understand that. I'm talking about all of you who have said we don't know if Trey Lance is any good.
We
haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle has. But anyway.
No, for sure.
Yeah, my point is we haven't seen it. So I don't know what he would do with the Arizona Cardinals. My guess would be no. However, there's a middle ground there is he also, I don't think, would look like you would expect a 7th-round pick to look. I think he is factually better than what the expectation was for him and his career.
I think that's fair for a guy who was the last pick in the draft.
Right. So now are we saying that we have moved that into the realm of expectation for other QB2 and QB3s?
Absolutely.
I would argue no. I would argue a hard no.
If Davis Mills were Brock Purdy on this team last year, if he was QB3, would Davis Mills have been able to come in and win games with the Niners? Now, I'm not saying he would have been as good as Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
We don't know that.
But I kind of doubt it. I mean, the games that he won, again, you guys, it's like...
to me, it's all situational.
Yeah, the question
that's the point I'm trying to
make. Could he come here and beat Arizona? Sure, maybe. Can he beat Dallas in the playoffs? Good Lord, no.
Brock was not terrific in that game.
No, but he won the game.
Yep.
The defense
won the game.
He didn't lose it. Okay,
Sure.
he didn't make
Fair.
the mistakes that his veteran counterpart made. The guy who makes $40 million on the other side made the mistakes that he didn't. Fair?
Well, I mean, clock.
And did he score 41 the week before in another playoff game? Would Davis Mills do that?
Right. I mean, maybe.
No.
Against a hapless Seattle defense.
I would predict no. That's all I can say. We're talking hypotheticals.
Before we go to the phones, I know we got a ton of callers, and I can't wait to get to them, but the Sam Darnold question to me, maybe it gets proven out this year if he gets time with this team. I think that you're going to see a better Sam Darnold than we've seen in other stops. That's all I'm saying.
On that, we agree. I'll still say I hope we never see him. Jim,
we will.
Jim and Marin, hey, you're on with Willard and Dibs. Hi, Jim, what's up?
Oh, hi. I do have a few points. First of all, okay, Brock Purdy, I know you were talking about, well, maybe he'll have a drop-off, or, why would he do as well as he did last year? The thing that struck me from the very first game he played, I actually, part of my head said, wow, he reminds me of Montana, and what I mean by that is I'm surprised you guys haven't been able to pinpoint this. He has a very unique ability, which is called poise. He is so calm and has a plan and is decisive. And I don't know why we would expect him to not have that same quality because, first of all, he's really excellent from the standpoint that he's really prepared. He was prepared to come in, and when he did come in, he did a terrific job, and I think he will do it again. One other point I have is, I don't know why people are so enamored of this whole Trey Lance personality. I mean, yeah, we know the story of what the Niners gave up for him, but that's a business decision. But as a listener, I mean, why are we so attached to anybody, especially when he hasn't really, it's almost like a myth.
Well, Jim, I'm gonna jump in there and thank you for the call. We've been through that conversation 48 times in the last month. I think everybody's exhausted by it. Let's go back to your first point. I don't think that you're the first, as much as I love your call, I don't think you're the first person who's brought up that Brock Purdy is poised. I don't think that. So when you say you're surprised that we haven't made that point, I'm pretty sure we have. I'm pretty sure that I've said things like that enough to the point where now people think I'm the largest Brock Purdy stan in this city. Brock Purdy showed all kinds of things last year that I believe will last. I don't think that 8 games, including 2 playoff games, plus a quarter of another one, I don't think that's as small of a sample size as we make it out to be. And the Joe Montana comp, I know it frustrates people. I would never make that comp. I understand where he's coming from this perspective. They have the same build. They sort of look a little bit like one another on the field. I don't know what that has anything to do with how effective they'll be. I don't even want to do that to Brock. I don't want to start talking about Tom Brady and Joe Montana when we bring up Brock Purdy. I only understand it from the standpoint of when people go, we need a quarterback who's got an unbelievable arm and the legs and the this and the that. And it's like, well, no, you don't. You don't. That's where, for me, the Montana and Brady, I don't want to have nothing to do with Hall of Fame resumes. But the idea that you don't have to be the best athlete on the planet to be a good quarterback in the NFL. That's what I see when I see him, and that's what I think about.
I think that a lot of times we judge quarterbacks just in a vacuum, and this is the point I was making before about Brock Purdy with Kyle Shanahan, which is why I do believe that Sam Darnold could come in and do as well as Brock Purdy in a short sample. It's because Brock Purdy doesn't have to go out there and be a gunslinger. He doesn't have to play like Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have to play like Patrick Mahomes. He just has to be able to take Kyle Shanahan's very complicated play call, relate it to the fellas in the huddle, and then run the play. And a lot of times the throws that he has to make, and we talked yesterday about what numbers would be good enough for Brock Purdy, and I erroneously said like 40 touchdowns and 6 picks, which is crazy to think about that ratio, but I do think it's more about the interceptions than it's about the touchdowns.
I agree with that.
In the Kyle Shanahan offense, the key is to get the ball, run the play, get the ball, and get it to the person you're supposed to get it to, and let them go out there and make the plays. He's not going to be expected to do a ton on his own. Yes, he can improvise. He can keep plays alive. He can run a little bit here and there, but Brock Purdy's best skill is between the ears.
Well, and I think that's a skill.
Huge. Yeah, for sure.
Like sometimes I think he's not skilled. No. What he does is a skill. It's an incredible skill.
For sure.
Okay? It's not a
Maybe
howitzer
the most
arm.
important skill.
I would agree. I absolutely would agree. Look, he's going to throw picks. There's going to be interceptions
he better
this
not.
year.
First pick he throws.
You're going to keep it real?
I'm going to keep it a buck.
Okay.
I'm going to be there. Okay?
You're going to say that Kyle told us he was never going to throw picks.
I will say this, Mark, before we go back to the phones.
He told us.
Last year, the Niners were number 1 in the NFL in turnover, giveaway, takeaway stats. That usually does not repeat.
Correct.
That's one of those things where you're great one year, you're terrible the next, and then you find your way into the middle. I think they were a plus 20 last year, which is insane.
It is bananas.
So,
yeah.
I mean, we should expect more turnovers from Brock and fewer takeaways from the defense. They probably will regress to the middle a little bit.
I would think. I mean, that's the history of the league suggests probable. Willard and Dibs, glad you're with us. 888-957-9570. Oh, hold on. Eric in Oakland. Not just on with Willard and Dibs, but it sounds to me, Dibs, based on from our producers, it sounds like Eric would like to keep it real.
Come on, Eric.
He would like to not let me off the hook. Eric, is it time to come down my road? What are you doing?
Hey, Willard, Dibs. I first want to start off by thank you for taking my call.
Of course. Thank you for making the call.
Willard.
Yes.
You sound like you have a spare bedroom in the Shanahan household, man, like you about to be on the sidelines. I got a question for you, Willard. You coaching? I
wish. I would like all these things you're accusing me of having. I would like to have a say in the 49er room, and I would like a room in Kyle's house. That sounds wonderful. I'm a little short on bedrooms right now, Eric, but we didn't need to get personal. Go ahead.
Willard.
Yeah.
Willard, you let me get through this.
Go ahead.
It almost sounds like now that Trey is out of the picture, you have become an apologist for the potential mistakes that Brock may make. Now, mind you, I'm not coming down anybody's road here, but you cut off the callers, bro, to where they can't even finish the comment that they're trying to make, and then you fill in the blanks for them by saying, I think the caller was about to say such and such. You got to let them finish, bro. So I just want to end this part by saying, please allow me to say this. Now,
no, I should cut you off because it would be really funny. But yeah, it would be really funny.
What he was trying to say.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead. Have our show for a few minutes. Go right ahead. It's yours,
bro. It almost sounds like you're keeping this Trey thing alive. Okay.
Oh no.
Keeping it going. It almost sounds that way.
Well,
it sounds like you're keeping it going, almost when the pressure is on Purdy and Shanahan's decisions, and then Trey comes into the picture, and then it's almost like you're saying you all and half the fan base gets upset when you mention Trey. I mean, it almost sounds confusing, bro. It does. You got to let it go. Trey don't.
I would like to make sure that you're done, Eric.
Thank you,
done?
Eric. Yeah, he's done.
Oh, I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Eric.
I'm going to let you go now.
Appreciate it, Eric.
Literally, the last caller just brought up Trey Lance, and my response was immediately, let's not go there. I'm sick and tired of that conversation.
Exactly.
This is not about Trey Lance, and in fact, today's conversation wasn't even about Brock Purdy. So what I would say to you, Eric, while I did, I believe, hear you out, I don't think you're actually hearing me, because I have said nothing today with regard to this conversation even being about Brock Purdy, other than the fact that Sam Darnold is not as good as Brock Purdy. That is the baseline of this. I believe it is so many of you who will not let the Trey Lance thing go. My point today is, in fact, if you're listening closely, My point today is that a lot of you are grabbing a hypothetical and you'd like to hang it around Kyle Shanahan's neck solely because he picked Darnold over Lance in this particular preseason, which, as he says it, and everyone else in the organization, it was absolutely an obvious pick. They've been trying to trade Trey Lance since March. So, because he picked Sam as QB2, and many fans were excited about Trey Lance, you're translating that to mean that Kyle has told you something about how great Sam is. My argument today is that that's not the case. Kyle Shanahan has done one thing and one thing alone with Sam Darnold. He has said, I'd like him to be QB2. That's it. That's all he said. And therefore, if Sam comes into the games this year, I will judge him as such. That's all I've said all day long.
Yeah, and I will judge him in a different way because I believe that Kyle Shanahan sees QB2 as QB1, but not right now, QB1 later, and hopefully he doesn't see QB3 as QB1 down the road, but we saw it last year where he needed QB4 who got concussed in the NFC Championship game, and they didn't have QB5. So I think if I could, have a room in Kyle's house, maybe I'd be in a room near your room.
Sounds
maybe
nice.
Maybe we'd share a room.
Down the hall?
Yeah, you and I could share a room in the Shanahan manner, but I would ask him at the dinner table, Kyle, why do you feel like you really needed such a great backup this year? Is it because Brock was coming off of surgery? Is it because you're afraid of injury, or both? And he would say, pass the potatoes and stuff.
I think that's a very good question. I think that's a really good question. No, stop doing that. I don't count.
No, count that as.
No, I'm not a guest. Even though Eric wanted me to be one.
You and I are both guests.
Eric wanted to host the show. You want to do Eric and Dibs. But no, you don't get. But it is a good question.
Did we rack Eric? That was a good call.
Rack that guy.
Thank you.